Welcome inside the play. We're here at the Shaw Gymnasium on the campus of Detroit Country Day, home of the 8-time state champion Yellow Jackets. Detroit Country Day coach Kurt Keener is going to take us over the 2-3 zone. The 2-3 zone, when used appropriately, can help you win a high school championship, a college championship, and this past summer, the Dallas Mavericks even used it to win the NBA title. Coach, how are you?
Good to see you, Clarence.
Coach, at every level of the game, you find the 2-3 zone. Give us an idea of why a team would want to utilize it.
Typically at the high school level, a team's going to use a 2-3 zone for a couple reasons. Number one, if they feel that the other team has more quickness and speed and can get to the basket to try to cut off driving lanes, or if the other team has more size, a real strong big man that they can't match up with, they're going to run a zone and probably pack it in and try to limit his opportunities.
Certainly we've seen teams utilize it in a lot of varying ways. What are some of the ways from the 2-3 zone set you can cause a lot of havoc on the floor?
Well, I think, first of all, there's probably three main ways you can use a 2-3 zone. You can run a straight 2-3 zone where the players are just covering areas of the court. You can use a matchup 2-3 zone where you're gonna shift and move into whatever alignment offense gives you. And then if you really want to take the aggressive approach, you can trap out of a 2-3 zone, and you can run and jump and trap different positions, corners or sidelines, where you're hoping to get a trap and create a turnover and off the other way.
So we've got our straight 2-3, our matchup, and then we've got some trapping. Coach, give us a demonstration.
Okay. We'll do it without the offense, first of all. In a straight 2-3 zone, what you're going to do is you're going to cover your area. So my two guards are basically going to cut the court in half, and they're going to go from that powder blue volleyball line above that. So these two guys have to basically cover that area. My two forwards are going to then cover the sides, from the block, from the foul lane, out all the way to the corner. And then the man in the middle, he's got to move and rotate to wherever there's a post player. And that's generally the areas that they're going to cover. There'll be some overlapping, but they're going to cover primarily those specific spots on the floor.
Coach, to give the people at home a bit better idea, let's get an offense out there, because I'm sure people at home are saying, well, if there's all this open space on the floor, it looks like people are wide open, but as we both know, in the 2-3 zone, there is no such thing as truly ever being that wide open.
Absolutely. Let's bring 5 offensive players. We'll set the offense up with 2 posts and 3 perimeter players, and then move accordingly. Why don't you get the ball read out here at the top. In basketball, court balance is real essential, and what we want to make sure we do is not have 2 players in the same area where maybe one defender can guard them. So we're going to try to keep the court spread. The other thing that I like to do from a philosophical standpoint is when you look at a zone, you want to find where the weakness is. I think the weakness in a 2-3, they've got 2 guys to have to cover the whole top. So if we can put at least 3 and maybe 4 guys into that area, that gives us an advantage. The other thing is the middle of a zone is always the weak area, because a player with the ball in the middle has lots of options to pass. So if we can handle the ball in the middle of the court, that guy may be a scorer, but primarily he's going to be a passer.
All right, Coach. The 2-3, the straight 2-3, show us how, show it to us in action.
Okay, what we want to do here, we're going to make an entry pass, and then we're going to get our post action moving. We're going to move one post to the short corner. We're going to bring our second post into the high post middle area. Offensively, what I'd like you to do, fellas, is see if we can handle the ball in the short corner, but I'd like to go side to side. Moving the ball from one side of the floor to the other forces the zone to have to move, and then we'll see if we can find the weaknesses in it.
Coach, one of the things that strikes me right away is not just the speed at which the young men are moving on defense in the zone, but also the communication. How vital is communication in terms of utilizing the 2-3 zone defense?
From a defensive standpoint, communication is absolutely essential, and particularly the guys in the back row, because they can see everything. The guys up here, these guys, the 2 guards are covering, they don't know what's going on behind them, so you have to have eyes in the back of their head, and that's our back row people. But the whole key is if 5 guys can move together. If they can move as a 5-man unit, they can cover a lot of the floor. And what you saw in that last little sequence is that the offense went from one side to the other, then back to the other before they got a wide open shot. And that's, again, if you, from an offensive standpoint, if you've got good shooters, then you're generally, if you're patient, you're going to be able to find an open area there.
Well, folks, that does it for us. Thank you for joining us. That's the 2-3 zone. Hopefully now you've learned a little bit more about it. Thank you to Country Day and Kurt Keener for the access. We'll see you next time inside the play.